Okay, welcome back to the OFW project. This is Michael, your host, and today we're gonna be talking about why you are so laggy in a map. So most of the people that are talking to me are saying, Michael, why is my map so buggy, laggy, crashing? I can't go to your place. I can't go to the rogue harbor. I can portal out. I can portal there. So maybe a little bit of explanation is needed. As you can see here, my latency is spiking like it's there's an earthquake coming, and this is not a good sign because it's gonna affect your gameplay. So we call this rubber band, wherein you're not killing any mobs and you're going back here, and you're just gonna die if your latency is way up high. So how do you combat this, right? How do you combat this? So for me, let's explain a thing or two about latency or lags, and bugs or something like that. And first, before we do that, as you can see here, my latency is 50. It's normal again, but I get like 300 to 700 of this before. So I am gonna talk about some things that includes latency, lagging, bugs, and crashes, client crashes. So yeah, it's good now. So why is it happening? Why are you lagging in Path of Exile? So the first thing is, what is latency first? Okay, latency is a technical term for gamers calling it lag. There is a lag, lag, right? And before that, we can go here into our causes of network latency. All right. So there are a lot of factors, and I lagged like 15 minutes ago, and I researched about latency. Latency or latency, tomato, tomato, whichever comes first, or wherever you are, it depends upon your country. So latency, there is a misconfiguration and malfunction, right? So maybe that's it, because there is a new Windows update that could be the culprit of that. The update may change your configurations before. Maybe you have a custom configuration before, and it ruined that, and you have to set it into default, or you have to configure it again before making it work. So maybe that's not it. Maybe it's not the Windows update, right? Maybe you have a limited capacity. So if you're in the Philippines, like my friends, you get PLDT, right? And PLDT is you can get 1 Mbps, 2 Mbps worth of internet for a higher price, and you're gonna be having a problem. You know why? Because it's not giving you much data from the internet, and you have a limited capacity. That's why you are lagging, right? So you're saying, Michael, I'm in America. I got 100 plus Mbps of internet. It's not gonna be a problem for me. So the other factor is a bad weather. Like today, it's raining. So yeah, bad weather causes latency too, and if it's raining, you can see that your latency is very high. So there is another thing. There is a distance. So if you're in a path of exile, there's a portal here, and if you go back here, you can see here that you can see your gateway here. All right, your gateway is your server, and if you push that, you can see here, if I go to Japan, which has 274 milliseconds, or maybe in Singapore, 279, or maybe in Australia, which has 342 milliseconds. Let's see, if I go to Singapore, because my friends are Asian and they're playing in Singapore server, if I join them, they invited me and I joined their server, I would experience high latency like this one, 302 and 283. And what does this do to you is, you know, if you go to maps, let's see here, we have a portal here, and you have a spike in your latency here because your server is in Singapore. When you are playing, oh, my latency is down again. If you are playing, you're gonna be laggy, and you're not gonna be enjoying the game because you're gonna be dying because you don't hit enemies, you don't know where you are, because there is a slight delay, a slight or a big delay, right? Good thing I am a, you know, a cast and quit assassin here. You're just gonna be spinning around and around. But if you're, you know, a caster or something like, if you stop, you die, you know, it's gonna be a problem. So your latency will go up. So be careful if you're joining public parties here, and it doesn't say what their server is. If it's in EU, if it's in North America, if it's in Asia, Singapore server, or if they are in Australia or like this one. I really believe that this is India, and it will be an Asian server, and they will be connected far to you. It means that the distance there, it's gonna play a role in your latency. All right. So if you can come back here in your Path of Exile main page here, or main area here, lobby or whatever you call it, you can spot the smallest millisecond here. That's the server that is best for you. You can play in other server, of course, but this is the best for your latency here. So for me, even though Milan is nearer than Frankfurt gives me 25 milliseconds, I'm gonna go to Frankfurt and I'm gonna connect to that. And when you go in, all right, this is it's taking some time, but bear with me because there's a lag. And as you can see here, my latency is just 32 rather than 50 and above when I am in a Singapore server. So you have to bear that in mind when you are playing Path of Exiles. If you're joining a party and your friend is all over the end of the world and you're at the other side of the world, it's not gonna do any justice to your latency. So that is what causes latency. And then there are other factors as well. There are too many devices connected. When you are streaming and your brother, and you have like 9 brothers who are streaming, that's gonna eat up a lot of your internet data, right? And your router will give you chunks and patches of internet data instead of bulks, because your router is going to be sharing a lot of internet data to your whole family. And if your community, like in the Philippines, your neighbors are, using the internet and is connected to your house, which is illegal, and your whole community, your whole barangay there is connected to your router, it's gonna be a lot of latency and you're gonna lag in Path of Exile. So as you can see here, there are wireless connections that is connected to the router. If you have 5 devices or more that is downloading, that is streaming, that is torrenting, you're gonna be lagging. So the next thing is if the client device overloaded. So if you have a throttle in your device, if your GPU cannot handle it, if there is there are a lot of things that your processor is doing at the same time, you're editing, you're streaming, you're playing Path of Exile with a lot of graphic load, and it's gonna take a toll on your processor or your device, and it's gonna be laggy again for you. So check the limitations of your device, and you can close everything. You can Control Alt Delete if you're in a PC, in a Windows, and you can see here what is taking up your RAM, your processor, or your GPU. It's all here. All right, you can close some of them. Maybe you can close the Microsoft Edge. Maybe you can close your Discord, or maybe you can close the Google Chrome, or maybe you can close OBS if you are streaming. But I cannot close this because I'm using this. And if you're applying path of exile, make sure that path of exile is the only one here doing most of the getting most of the CPU memory and your everything that is connected to you. And the last thing is the malware and virus affected device. So if you have like, I'm not promoting this, but if you have like an antivirus or anti-malware software, you can scan most of your folders and see if there's a malware or there's a virus in your system, because it can cause network latency. So if you're torrenting, if you are pressing these sites and you are downloading and you are getting some some contents on the internet, sometimes it comes with the malware, sometimes it comes with the virus, and they're gonna be using your GPU for their for their Bitcoin gathering, and your GPU will get hot, or your processor will get affected, and it will cause latency once more. So latency is a no friend in path of exile, because you're gonna lag. So those are the causes of latency. As you can see here, I'm going back to my my diagram here, which is provided by this site. So to recap, there is a misconfiguration or malfunction in your device or in your PC. So maybe you change something, and then it's gonna hurt your latency, your configurations in your net, and you have to make it default again, or to custom it. Or you have a limited capacity internet, maybe your ISP provider is giving you shit of data, and you're paying too much because of that. There is bad weather. There is the distance, which I talked about before. Too many devices connected. There are wireless connections, some torrenting, some downloading, some streaming, client device overloaded, your hardware limitations, configurations, and a malware and virus affected device. So I hope, yeah. And before I forgot, if you're playing Path of Exile, you can just press F1, and you can see your frame time there, your FPS, your latency here. So you can get a pretty much a good idea why if your latency, why you are laggy, why you are lagging. Come on, English. And you can see it up here in the latency here. If it's spiking and you're laggy, and maybe you can search how it's done, if it's your connection or if it's bad weather, or if it's something like that. So this is Michael from the OpW project. I hope my English is well, and I hope that helps in you knowing how to solve your latency issues. Sometimes it's just client crashes or bugs of Path of Exile, but mostly because it's your hardware, mostly because of your internet service provider, or maybe it's your configuration limitations, or just a bad weather, or the people in your community are connected to your router. So thanks for watching, and yeah, see you in Path of Exiles again.